Hello everyone and welcome back. We are finally in the sewing room. So I just want to warn you ahead of time. It is summer, which means my kids are home from school and right now they're asleep, but if they wake up you may hear a little bit of noise. So I'm just letting you know, and the roaring you hear in the background is my air conditioner because my sewing room is in my basement. So let's get started. What are we working on today? Well, I've had two requests that I'm actually working on today, and I felt like I could combine it into one video because one of which is like a bikini top and the other is a bikini bottom. Now I've done I think I've done either 2 or 3 bathing suit slash bikini style videos, but what these requests are for certain types of bikini bottoms and the top. Now the first thing we're going to work on is the bottom because it's the easiest. So I'm not going to go through how to make the pattern or cutting it or anything like that because I already have several videos up like that, which I will make sure to link in this video so you can see those if you haven't already. So as you can see, I already have the bikini bottom cut out. Now what this request is, I do have a reversible ruched bottom, but what the request is for is to show how to do the ruching without being reversible. So that's what this part of the tutorial is for. And as you all know, I've used this fabric before, if you guys remember. If you haven't seen this video, that's fine, but I did use this fabric before in a previous video and it's come a long way, guys. I still have a pretty good portion of it left. But this is the front and it is squared off because we're not adding strings on the sides. We're just going to connect the bottom, and I have the back piece here. Somehow here it is. I have the back piece here, and this is spandex material, and as you can see, it's very stretchy. So for this we are going to use, guys, can anybody tell me, a zigzag stitch? Why? Because this is stretchy material and we want to keep that elasticity when we're working with this fabric and when we put it on, because as you all know, if you use a straight stitch, it's going to be stiff. You're not going to be able to get it on. You're going to be frustrated, blah, blah, blah. And this right here, guys, I can't remember the inch of this, but this is just a really thin piece of elastic, which is going to help us when we do our ruching. And when we put this on, we are definitely still going to use a zigzag stitch. So let's get started. First, you want to make sure that your sewing machine is on the zigzag setting. If there are some of you who have been with me since the beginning, previously when I started my YouTube channel, I had the Brother Project Runway sewing machine. Bad boy died on me after 6 years, almost 6.5 years. It died on me. So I got the Janome, if I'm pronouncing that right. It's the HD 3000. So that's what I'm using now. My settings are just a little different, but it's fine. I still have the zigzag stitch, so it doesn't matter. So right now I was doing another sewing project, so I gotta switch that. Okay, so what we're gonna do first is connect the front and the back. And as you all know, or if you don't know, because we're using a spandex, spandex kind of knit fabric almost, we don't really need to finish off our edges. If you can see what I'm talking about, you could just leave it like that. If you want to give it a more finished professional look, you can turn it over and give it like a little hem stitch, but just for the sole purposes of this tutorial, I am not going to finish off my edges. I'm just going to connect this and show you guys what it's supposed to look like. This is just easier for me when I do the ruching, so if it works better for you to do the ruching before you connect your front and your back piece, that's fine. Now I always sew on the wrong side of my fabric, and I know it's a little bit difficult when you're doing a bikini, but that's fine. Do what's more comfortable for you, I say. So right now I'm just pinning. Nothing too spectacular going on here. I'm just pinning my front and my back together because spandex can be very slippery when you're sewing with it. And if you guys haven't received my tip before, I'll give it to you again. To prevent the slippage when you're sewing, there's two things that I like to do, and it may help you as well. To attach, like you're pinning here, you can attach tissue paper, and you say, oh my god, there's going to be tissue paper in my thread. No, it won't, because when you're done sewing, you just rip it off and that tissue paper comes right off. It doesn't stay in your stitching. Or you can add a piece of tape up underneath your foot. You know, you would just take this off and put like a piece of scotch tape right up underneath your foot, and that will help you stabilize your slippery fabric when you're sewing. Okay guys, so let's get sewing with this. I'm just going to go ahead and take that pin out and just going to do a zigzag stitch all the way across. Okay, so we're starting with that zigzag stitch. Remember to back stitch. You want to keep that thread secured so when you put it on, it doesn't unravel, so you always have to back stitch. And because I'm not using one of my little techniques that I just told you guys about, it is sticking. Okay, let go. I hear the pitter patter of little feet. Someone's coming. Okay guys, so we have that attached. Now what I'm going to do now is show you how I do the ruching. Okay guys, so now that we have this together, as you can see, and don't mind the elastic hanging there, we're going to talk about that really soon. It is put together with our zigzag stitch. So like I said, I really don't know the inch of this because I took it out of the pack a long time ago, and as you all know, I like to eyeball it. So I put it in the middle. And how did I find the middle, you may ask? I folded it in half and I just kind of placed it right where my middle is, if you can see that. And so what we're going to do now, we're going to keep it on the zigzag stitch, and we are going to just go ahead and put this through. However, don't mind my dog, sorry, he's going crazy up there for whatever reason. Okay, so what I like to do first is to start this off with a straight stitch just to get it in place, because we're going to have to pull on this elastic as we're sewing. So go ahead and start your straight stitch. Make sure to back stitch just to get this in place. And now that we have it in place, what we're going to do is put it back on our zigzag. And sorry guys, I'm just a tad bit of a perfectionist. Okay, so this is a very tricky part when you're pulling on elastic when you're sewing. You have to be very careful. One, you don't want to break your needle. Two, you don't want to mess your fabric up. So what I like to do initially is when I start off, I like to just pull slightly and just kind of hold onto my fabric and kind of pull on this part just slightly, well, kind of pushing it until it gets through to the point where I can grab it. Now right now you don't want to grab it because it will yank on your needle, and you'll see what I'm talking about when you start doing this on your own. So it's, like I said, it's very tricky, and take your time, because when I first started sewing, I wanted to do everything quickly, you know, everything had to be done fast, but sometimes you have to take your time in order to get things done right properly. So what I'm going to do is just hold down my bikini bottom and kind of push it through until it gets to the point where I could grab it over here. So at the same time, I'm going to be pulling slightly on this elastic. So like I said, it's very, very tricky. So now that it's through enough for me to grab hold to this, I am going to just try to stabilize it as best I can. Hold this down and pull, and this is how we're going to get our ruching. And as you can see, just slightly is singeing up already. Now that we're coming to the end of it, I'm just going to pull slightly more. And back stitch. So just cut off any remaining piece of your elastic. Make sure not to cut your thread. And I'm just going to cut this little extra hanging thread off here. Okay, so guys, as you can see, it is ruched. You can see that? And it still stretches so when you put it on. So let's go to our final step with this bikini, and that's sewing the sides together. Okay guys, so we are going to the final step, which is sewing the two sides together. And again, you're going to keep it on this exact stitch. So I'm going to pin this just because this is a slippery fabric. I'm just going to pin this together so I can sew it. Now like I said, if you want a more professional look, you can roll down your edges and go ahead and sew them. If not, you can just leave it as is. It still will be fine. Like I said, for tutorial purposes, I'm not going to fold down my edges, but for those of you who need to know how to do it, I will just kind of go over briefly how to do it. Okay, so let's get started. Always back stitch. To the other side. Okay guys, so we are finished with our bikini bottom. Cut off any extra threads that are hanging, because you don't want to feel those threads when you put your bikini on. Okay, oop, here's some more. I like to keep a little trash bag next to me. Okay, so you're going to flip this on the right side, and as you can see, we have our bottom. And when you look at the back of this, this is what it looks like. If you guys can see that. And so like I said, when you pull on it, it still stretches. So if you want to give it a more professional look, you just turn these over, fold them in, sew it along on the inside, a top stitch, and you can do the same with the sides. I would recommend turning it back inside out and just folding the sides like so, and it'll have a more professional finished look. That's your choice. Like I said, I'm just doing this for tutorial purposes, and I will leave the links to the two videos showing you how to make your own bikini pattern, as well as the tutorial I have for the reversible ruched bikini. I will show you that. So again, this is our ruched single layer bikini bottom. So let's go on to the next part of this tutorial. Okay, so we are on the next part of this tutorial, and you may see me moving around a lot for this part. So I have the same material, the same piece of fabric. I don't know what I was trying to say. So what we're going to do, this is going to become a top, and I know you're thinking it looks pretty long, and this part is kind of long on me, and I measured wearing my dress, which I probably shouldn't have. Now, I know you're thinking, oh my god, it doesn't close. Now, for me, I like to cover my whole boob. So for those of you who are a little bit more brave and, you know, want to expose a little bit more boobage, go right ahead. You don't have to make yours as long or as thick as mine. So what I'm going to do with this is simply this, it's going to leave this space here, and you'll see why shortly, because we're going to put strings to connect it. So yeah, so this is what mine looks like, and I'm going to, for this, keep it on a zigzag stitch. I'm going to fold this over just slightly because I do want this one to have a more professional finished look to it. So I'm just going to fold that over. And if you want to iron, if it's easier for you to iron, go ahead and iron. I'm just going to pin this down just to hold it, so I know how much to sew when it's time to start sewing. So we're just doing this, just so. Okay, and make sure you do the same thing with the other side, and just go ahead and pin it. So now that we have that pinned, let's go ahead and sew. Now I know you may be asking how I got the measurements. Well, your bra size, basically. What you're going to do is either take your piece of fabric, probably wearing nothing, and just measure it around, because when you put this bikini top on, you're not going to have on a dress or bra. So I would suggest when you measure with nothing on. As well, you can just use your bra size and just cut, I would say about 2.5 inches from the front, maybe 3 inches off of the front piece, because you're going, like I said, you're going to connect it with the strings when we make them. If you want it to be a little bit more sexier and you want to cut off more and just have it kind of going halfway and then connect with the straps, you can go ahead and do that, whatever is most comfortable for you. But as you all know, I'm not that comfortable, so my top is a little wider as well as a little closer together. So let's get sewing. So you're just going to keep that folded, and you're just going to sew across, all the way across, and do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so our next step is to go ahead and work with our strings. Now I do have in my bikini top and bottom video, it shows you how to do these strings, but I'll just go ahead and show you again just in case you don't remember or you haven't seen that video. And I'm only going to do one just to show you what you're going to do. So I have this, it's about 1 inch long. You can make yours wider or smaller if you want. You're just going to fold this in half. And I'm going to keep my zigzag stitch just because it's on there, so it'll be easier. And you're just going to slide this through your sewing machine. Now this can be really, really tricky, so you want to be careful. Take your time doing this. Let's get started. Back stitch. And just go ahead. And like I said, you can iron yours down. It's easier for you to work with fabric that is a little bit flatter. This is fine for me. I know what I'm doing, and I, again, like to eyeball stuff, so I'm paying close attention. If you have to stop, go ahead and stop. Because this fabric is so slippery, it gets a little tricky when sewing sometimes, and sometimes even though it could be ironed or you're holding it down, it will kind of slip away from the other side. So you just want to make sure you're paying attention as you're sewing. Back stitch. Okay, so this is pretty much your string, and of course some of you may want your string to be a lot more thinner, and that's okay. You just cut a smaller piece when it comes to that. So I'm going to finish up. I'm just using 4 pieces. Actually, I'm just going to use 3 for this tutorial. I think when I saw the picture it may have had 4, but the strips, the threads were a lot smaller than mine are. So go ahead and do that with the rest of your strings, and you can make as many as you want. Honestly, it's yours. You're wearing it. If you want it to look a certain way, then go ahead and do that. Okay guys, so we are on the last and final step of our project, and as you can see, we have all of our strings here. Now these are a bit long for what I'm working with, so I'm just going to take them and cut them in half. And now I have more strings just in case I want to use more for this project. Now here is the top, and as you can see, I did go ahead and fold down the bottom and the top of my little Bandeau top here. And like I said, mine is really big, but I'm just doing this to show you for tutorial purposes. And I measured myself wearing my bra and this dress, so mine is really, really big. But I'm not putting it on for this video, so I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to go ahead and see where I want to place my strings, what looks good to me. And you can space them up as close or as far apart as you want. And I think I'm going to go ahead and use 4 strings instead of 2. I mean 3, the initial 3 that I planned on, because I want 1 string there at the top, 1 string here, kind of right there, and then so I'm going to use 4. So what I'm going to do now is just pin these in place right here. And this is going to be the easiest, fastest sew you're going to do, because you're just actually putting these into place. Now what you're going to do is kind of open this up a bit, and it's still going to be on the wrong side, but you just want to connect the 2 pieces. And when you're doing this, when you go to cut, the length of your string is going to be equate to the length that you cut here. So let's say you cut about 3 to 4 inches here, your string length is going to be about 3 to 4 inches, because it's taking up the space for what you cut. So it's just kind of like if you had that piece here and just cut like strings like that. So you want to take that into consideration when placing your strings in the middle. But if you want to have a more space, I would say cut down maybe 1 inch. So let's say you cut this square out in the middle 3 inches. I would say give it about 2 or 2.5 inches the string length. That way you can have that little sexy look in the middle. Or you can do like me, like I'm doing right now, and eyeball it. Okay guys, so as you can see right now, this is what it looks like from the wrong side. So we're just going to go ahead, and probably the easiest thing for you to do would just take that stitch and go all the way down. Now for this particular part, I am going to do a straight stitch on these. Okay guys, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and do a straight stitch for this, and I'm going to try to stick with the stitch that's already there, and just take that down, go ahead and start sewing. Remember the back stitch. I'm just going to go all the way down instead of constantly pulling out my needle to go over and over and over again. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side, and then I'll show you what it looks like once it's done. Okay guys, so we are all finished with the sewing, and I'm just going to show you what this top looks like. And like I said, this is really, really big, but if you run into that, see, I need to take off about 2 inches of this. So what I would do is kind of make this even, make sure the front part is where I want it, and just kind of cut a slit in the back, and either leave it like it is and tie it, add hooks, or sew it back together to make it the right size. And you want to do that before you go out wearing it and you think everything is accurate and it's really not. So again, like I said, if you're making a top like this and you want to measure yourself the way I did, with just taking the fabric around so you know where you want the opening in the front, then go ahead and do that bare breast, no bra, no shirt, and just go ahead and measure your fabric around and then make your slit and figure out how long you want your strings to be in the middle. So this is what it looks like, guys, and I hope this helps. Yeah. It looked a little weird for a minute there, but if it were the right size, you know, it will look a lot better, and then once you get it on, it will also look better. So if you have this problem here where it's like kind of lift up right there, what I would suggest you do, if it's giving you kind of a bulk in the front, is just go over that again with a straight stitch. That way this is a lot flatter and it looks a lot more polished and a lot neater. Make sure when you're sewing, you're cutting off all your extra threads. If you want to give this a little bit more form, like to make it a little curved around your breast, what I would suggest you do is either take a bra that you have and measure when you're cutting your fabric how you want it to look. Just give it like a little heart shape. It's basically what your boobs are kind of like, because it divots down in the middle and then it kind of goes out and gives you that curve here at the top. So always think of a heart when you're kind of cutting for like a bra or like a bikini top or like a kind of Bandeau top that's has a little bit more curvy form to it to match your breasts. And you can make this as sexy as you want it, guys. This is just I wanted to show you how to attach these little ropes or strings, whatever you want to call them, to a Bandeau style bikini top. So again, we have our like Bandeau top here, as well as our single layer ruched bikini bottoms. And this was our tutorial today, guys. If you have any questions about anything you've seen here today, go ahead and let me know. I actually killed two birds with one stone doing this video, because I had another person from Instagram that requested this top, bikini top style bathing suit for me, and also this was from another YouTube follower for this ruched bikini bottom. So I did two requests in one video. How about that, guys? But anyway, if there's anything you want to see me make, go ahead and ask. If you want to follow me on social media, all of that is in the description, as well as the link to my Etsy shop and my book. If you're interested in purchasing anything from my Etsy shop or purchasing my book, you could go ahead and do that. If you want to send me letters, correspondence, thank you cards, or whatever, there is an address for that. You can go ahead and do that, because I did have a few people request to send me some things and kind of give them a little bit of promotion. I am willing to do that depending on what the product is. So don't hesitate to ask me, guys, if it's something I believe in, if it's for a good cause. Of course, you know I'm going to promote that and support that. So yeah, go ahead and do that. If there is anything you want to ask me as far as any of the videos that you've seen, and you don't want to broadcast your statement or your comment on my YouTube channel or on Facebook or Instagram or anything like that, you could direct message me, because I've had so many people direct message me asking me questions. It's somebody that actually had a conversation with me through my Etsy shop because they didn't have an account with YouTube, and I'm totally fine with that. Wherever your questions come from, if you need my help, of course I'm going to help you in that aspect. If you want to follow my vlogs, which are kind of short, I just kind of give you a little summary of my day, and you won't always see all of my children because a lot of them don't like being on camera. So go ahead and follow me over there on my vlog channel, as well as my Snapchat. I do Snapchats every now and again. I'm not an everyday Snapchatter, but yeah, you can follow me those ways, guys. And again, if there's anything that you have questions about, if there's anything you want to see me make, go ahead and ask me, guys. I love doing tutorials. I love sewing, as you all know that, and I always tell you to do what you love. It will make you happy. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.